Hey folks, I'm the Amazing Vito, and today, well, first of all, I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas. New Year's is coming up, and I thought, why not have a fun little show with a friend of mine. He's a big name in the name of comedy, um, record, releasing albums, releasing comedy specials. Uh, Mr. Joseph Orecchio is here with me. Joseph, thank you so much, man.
Thank
You
you for
like
having me, man.
you like my thing here?
I do. It's like you're like you're like one of those signs on the highway, you know?
No, it's ridiculous. Yeah, one of those signs that you drive by and it says, "Remember to get your needle, put it in, stick it in your eye." You know. So, all right. Um, so I hope everybody had a good Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. I don't know, whatever. If you're atheist, I don't know. You just sat around
Good
going,
luck.
I hope I hope this stuff goes away soon. So, Joseph, thank you so much for your time. For folks, he works for a huge company. He works for 800 Pound Gorilla, which released some of the biggest comedy names in the world. So,
You can find them on TikTok, you find them on Instagram. They've got a YouTube channel, 800 Pound Gorilla Records. They
yeah,
are they're number one in comedy album business.
yes. And how did you, Joseph? Um, how did you start in the comp? Like, how did it start for you? Because I know that your goal was to. We talked a little bit beforehand,
Yeah.
and he told his goal was to, he wanted to produce, be creative, and that's something really cool. That's something that we all want in life, to do stuff like that. Well, to be creative, to see a project. We're talking about a comic that we know, and Joseph's going to produce his comedy album, and just his ideas are wonderful and very new. So, how did you start off uh, in the business? Like, how did you start off?
Um, it it starts with my wife and I go on a comedy cruise around just out in the Hudson River. It's like a 3 hour comedy cruise. And as we're walking off the cruise, I'm thinking, and I said to her, I could write a stand-up bit. And she was like, "Oh, please, you're always talking." Like she's like, "I don't want to. If you go into, I don't want to hear about it again until you write one." So next day, I sat down to write a stand-up comedy bit, and it's really hard. And then I just kind of had this thing rolling in my head for like 2 years. Um, 2 years later, I had 3 minutes in my head, and I go into a local bar to shoot pool, and there's nobody shooting pool there, but there's two guys going at the back, which I know they're going out to smoke weed. So I was like, "Listen, can I join you?" They said, "Well, we got an open mic here. If you sign up, you can come out." And I was like, well, "I've got 2 minutes in my head." I sign up, do the open mic. The light breaks before I go on, so I'm in total darkness. So no fear at all. And I do my 2 minutes, and I got a couple laughs, and it sparked something that I was like, you know what, I want to feel this out,
It feels
and
good, eh?
feels good to get a laugh. And
Yeah, yeah.
I had an ad lib line. I was like, that felt good. Then I went to an open mic, and I was like, fuck that. I'm out. I'm not doing it. And then this comedian, DC Benny, I'm a photographer, came to me for headshots. And I was like, well, this is cool. Like, let me just kind of, just be cool to meet a working comedian and get a chance to talk to him. Um, and he, after we did the headshots, he invited me to his storytelling show they did with Ben Bailey down in the Village at the Fat Black Pussycat Lounge. And he said, "I'll give you free tickets." I said, "Actually, I have a story." He's like, "This fucking guy." Okay, write me the story, email me the story, and I'll tell you, I'll tell you what I think of it. So I email him the story, and he writes me back, "That's an amazing story. I'm gonna put you in the show." And next thing I know, I'm at the Fat Black Pussycat Lounge, full house, 120 people. I'm on the stage telling my story. After the show, we're sitting at the comedian's table, and I was just like, oh man, this guy doesn't know this, but he's getting me a peek into this world, and I'm not leaving. I want these are the people I want to be around. This is what I want to do, but how could I possibly make this work? That doesn't seem conceivable. So the next day I emailed him. I said, listen, if you have an idea for any kind of viable idea for a project, I've got a whole camera crew, sound guys, editors, everything we need to make it happen. You just tell me if you got an idea. Now I had none of that, but I figured I'd figure it out down the road. He got back to me with a project
You
called
did what you did the Amazing Vito routine called bullshit your way through. And then when they say yes, you sit there and go, now, what? Just give me 1 second. Just start calling people up like crazy. Hey, hey, do you got a camera? You know that guy I remember 2 years ago? I threatened his life. Tell him I'm sorry. Listen, I need him. I know what you're talking about. But that's great though, man. That's good.
I worked in commercials, so I knew all these people, and I was like, I could convince them to come out and have a fucking good time with some comedians. And we did, and we got it together. We filmed 2 dinners for the show, Comedy Kitchen, storytelling comedy show, and we cut 7 episodes, and I was convinced that this was going to sell. Like, I was like, this is going to, and I'm going to be working with big time comedians, so I better just go and start hitting some open mics and just figuring out what this art form is. And I was very fortunate because I found an open mic called Comedy Mob in New York City. Check them out, Comedy Mob NYC at Comedy Mob NYC on Instagram, comedymob.com. They're amazing because they're not an open mic. It's a schmic. It's open to comedians, but Monday nights we pack in Stand Up New York on 78th Street with 95, 110 people, and everybody gets 4 minutes, and you get up there and you rock it. So I started with that open mic thing, waiting, and fell in love with the art form of stand-up. I loved going there once a week and just working on my tight 5. But as time went on, the show wasn't selling. So then I was like, well, what the fuck am I doing this for? Like, what? I'm not, there's no money.
It can be incredibly frustrating, eh?
Oh,
Especially
absolutely.
when you go, I got a brilliant idea. Just, what I notice, and I always go off topic, but real quick, I
That's
notice
good.
it depends on who, Joseph, who you know.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you know the right person, you're going to be okay. Like, you could get in there a hell of a lot easier than just pitching. Over here it sucks, but over there at least they listen to you over there.
Yeah, and don't give up, because it went from, so even though that show didn't fail, DC believed in what we did. He liked the work that I did, and when it came time to shoot his special, he hired me because he wanted to shoot his comedy special the way they're usually shot. And I said, I got a better idea. How about you don't pay me, but I get to shoot it the way I envision it. I get to do what I want. And then if we sell it, then we have a deal for that. And I got to explore my vision of DC Benny's an old school stand-up comic who came up in the smoky rooms and club and basements of New York City. And that's what this was going to look like. It was going to look like Bob Fosse's Lenny, black and white, people smoking, just that whole ambiance of this claustrophobic, smoke-filled rooms that people piled into just because they needed to laugh. That was the essence of what we were getting at. And we made it happen, and we sold it to Bill Burr's company, All Things Comedy. And Bill Burr and Bert Kreischer, they've raved about it on the podcast, and they had DC on the podcast, and He forgot to mention me by name, but that's all right. Don't worry
Sorry.
about that. And I was like, okay, there's a way to make money in a comedy. And then the night that we shot DC Special, this guy Anthony Leo from 800 Pound Gorilla Records was there, and he said, "Are you interested in a job? Because I need a good solid crew that I can just depend on. We go over it one time, and like, to go out and film the comedians that are doing their comedy albums. I just need a shot dependably, shot professionally. Can you do that?" And this time I was telling the truth. I was like, "Yeah, I can." So I was like, "Okay, now I'm working for 800 Pound Gorilla. Now, if I get some other comedy specials going, that's two ways to be attacking, my chess set of attacking the comedy world. And my pawns will be doing stand-up because I just loves doing stand-up. When I really realized that there's no money in I mean, you are a stand-up comedian. You've made a living at it. Like, so obviously I'm wrong. But
Yeah,
when I look
ask
at
the raccoon how well I've been doing.
it,
He used to actually move. We'll get into the whole stand-up thing in a sec, but go on.
Yeah, because I had a set early on. I have an autistic son, and I had an autism set that was really getting good reaction.
Okay.
And I got a call from the comic strip. They wanted to hire me to do my autism set, and 8 minutes. And
Autistic set,
a set about autism.
and you did it. Was it about your son?
It's about my son. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And it's still in my repertoire. It's just it gets good reaction. I've built on it. But I got getting a call from the comic strip to full capacity crowd, hired to do a job, 8 minutes. And then at the end of the night, he didn't even ask what I was getting paid. At the end of the night, I got an envelope with $20 in it. And I was like,
You
well,
sound, it
no
sounds
way.
like my career right there. That's
so I don't know how anyone does it.
But Joe, but that does. I remember getting my first time getting paid. I got $60, and I was like, they're paying. It was so cool to get paid.
Oh yeah.
To do joke, like it's a freaky feeling where you're going, I just told, I just did, getting paid to do that, to do something you enjoy. And it is work.
Sure.
But it's a wonderful feeling to get paid, to sit there and go, it's something I created, I made. And I tell that to young comics all the time. They go, or people that want to start off. Because they always ask, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I go, well, you got to write your 3-minute set, work on it, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
People make the mistake of going, I'm funny around my friends.
Yeah, no.
But it's like, yes, you are funny around your friends, but in front of a crowd, it's very different. Like those same jokes won't work on a crowd.
No, it's a show.
Yes, but once you figure that out,
yeah,
you're okay. And some guys figure it out and some don't.
Well, I think it's a continual, like, I mean, the journey I went on figuring out, and it's a continuing journey of what I'm doing as a stand-up, was really, so when I was going to the open mic and I thought we were going to sell the show, you'll appreciate this because you and Vito the Amazing. I thought we were going to sell the show. I was doing my tight five. Same fucking set every week. Tight five. And then we weren't selling the show. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do whatever I think is hilarious. And I was watching on YouTube. Remember when Steve Martin came out as the Great Fly Beanie?
Yeah.
Tonight Show.
Yeah, I love that.
So he had his hand in his pants.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got a fake arm. I went to the magic store and I got a fake arm and I had my real arm in my pants,
Oh wow,
and I had a penis puppet that and a pre-recorded voice. So I'm up there doing my set, and my penis puppet pops out and tells me it wants a favor from me, and it wants to do stand up. So after I argue it a little bit, I give the microphone to my penis, and it just does dick jokes. Now, this set bombed. It bombed so bad that they talk about it. It's 6 years later. I still get guys going like,
those are the
remember
best
that?
though.
You remember that? Remember that
No,
dick thing you did that bombed so bad? I was like, but you still talk about it, dude.
yeah, I know.
That's how
But
bad it was.
those are the I love. We've all been there where you've had a set that goes absolutely horrendous, and uh people like, I remember I had to do a Christmas party and I was just starting out, and I was like, I won a competition. So this lady has me do her Christmas party, and I'm like, you sure you want me to do your Christmas party? No, I mean, have you not heard my act? And this is when I was just doing straight stand up.
Right.
Well, I ended up doing her Christmas party. It was a nightmare, dude. It was so bad. Joe, she got fired.
Yes.
And this guy calls me up, so-called friend, and he's like, hey, what happened, man? And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Because he's like, I heard you did a show, and you were doing penis jokes, and there were kids there, and you're talking like, I was like, dude, like I was as green could be. But she ended up getting fired, and this big fat guy comes up and just takes the mic off of me. That's how bad it was. And they still talk about it to this day. And I was just like,
Right.
I was like, so you never talk about all the good stuff or anything like that. You talk about the nightmare set. Um, it sucks too. She was like, I was supposed to get like $250. The fat dude shot me $100. And I was like, well, where's the rest, man? You know what I mean? It's like, where's my $150? And they were like, they never paid me. And I was like, I was so pissed off. And then I found out she got fired. I was just like, that's awesome.
Mission accomplished.
But don't you notice that these days people just do not take any chances? They don't want to, or they're scared to, because if you go and play a club before, you could play a club and like okay, if it's an open mic night, you could do that. But if it's a paid night where people, if it's a Friday, Saturday show and you bomb that bad, that's bad because people pay a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately, I'm as a performer, I'm not in that realm. Um, as a film crew, when we go see these guys tape their special, uh, it's there's a little bit of the magic missing because they work the material out so perfectly that there's almost zero danger of failing. Like they're coming out there with hour of material they've worked on for 2 or 3 years, and it's tight and it's ready to go, and they pretty much know they're not really taking a super risk, except Jamar Neighbors. Jamar Neighbors. Do you know Jamar Neighbors?
No, I don't.
Mohawk, been on Joe Rogan a couple times. He's a lunatic. Uh, he he taped his comedy album for 8 a pound and did like a Andy Kaufman. it, it was nobody liked it, but I thought it was ballsy, and he kind of did like, you think I'm gonna stand here and perform for the white man? No, fuck you. I'm not.
He didn't mind taking the white man's money though.
No, he did. He took the money.
He didn't like the white man, but the money was
So
good.
don't drag me into the conversation. I'm just saying he had balls to. I'm not saying he was right or wrong, but when I watched him start doing it, I was like, what is this? What is this?
Yeah.
Not what I'm expecting. And that's always that's part of the magic of trying stuff. But if you're going to be a paid show that people are paying money for, well, now you've got to do the show. Like, like if you went to Broadway to see, for the Les Mis,
Yeah.
and
And
they put on
all of a sudden they start playing cats.
yeah,
You're going, this is not what I paid for.
yeah,
So
John Valjean walks out with the whole cat suit on.
yeah,
Like,
there's Barry Red just laughing, angry, walking around. Just Barry, you should be inside in the cat outfit. And he's just like, I'm not putting that thing on. So
can I tell you one of my greatest risk taking achievements?
sure.
All right, it was at the Grizzly Pear, unpaid show, not an open mic, but show, but free to get in, two drink minimum, so no big risk. But I had been doing a set that ends. It's a set about freedom in America and China, and it ends with me giving head to a banana to uh, to the Donovan song "Mellow Yellow." Um, it's all about government control. So it's really an essay on the danger of government control. But it ends with me giving head to a banana, and then after that, I handed out 40 bananas. There's like 40 people in the audience. I handed out bananas to everybody, and then had the whole audience all give head to bananas in unison to the music. And the fact that they all went along with it, when I was watching, I was just like, this is beautiful. This is just
Well,
so much
don't you find it that, see, I wouldn't give head to a banana, but
fun.
would you,
Why not?
would you, don't you find it cool
Manifold?
that you can, when you think of something, I always thought this was cool. You think of something, you work hard at it, you go out there and it works and it came from you and people are enjoying that. And
Yeah.
it's just this wonderful feeling that yeah, I'm worried that we're not going that route anymore. People don't want to take those chances anymore. Um, um, but yeah, it's a wonderful feeling when you have something germinate small and you think, I got an idea. You go out there, you do it, and it just blossoms and it works.
Yeah.
You're taken back on, this is wonderful. And it gives you that feeling of just this little feeling of, I bet you this is how Steven Spielberg felt when when Jaws, when they said it was going to flop and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden people liked it. I'm not talking to that level of,
Yeah. No.
but in your mind you feel like I created something and it worked and it's wonderful. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I started studying Lenny Schultz when I got into this experimental period. You know the comedian Lenny Schultz.
Yeah,
uh, um, I'd heard from him, like, if you, David Letterman would say, like, they'd say to David Letterman, who's the hardest person to follow? Lenny Schultz. Every comedian asks, who's the hardest person to follow? Lenny Schultz, because he was just crazy. He was, you know, the things he would do on stage made no sense and they were hilarious. And I was like, well, I want to try that stuff. And um, and I went down that road, back and forth, and I'd come back to like real stand up. And um, right now, my newest set is really a mixture of real stand up because it begins with stand up material talking about how I feel I've evolved, how I've left behind my Jersey
you're doing
tribe.
like, you're more alternative.
Try well, unpaid is what I am. So
That's what happens when you do the alternative.
yeah,
It
unmarketable.
should be called alternatively, you're not getting paid. But that's something that, who I never thought, never got the props, that for like when you do the comedy specials, a guy that I love Mitch Hedberg, right?
Oh my God.
Remember his comedy special where they just stared at him for the first 35 minutes and then he finally got to them. Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
And I was just like, I was confused going, why aren't these people laughing? Very
They,
confused.
They didn't know it yet. They didn't know what was hitting them. They're just like
Yeah,
trying to take
they,
it
they
in.
did- they just didn't get they didn't get him, and it was very you're watching it going like, how do you not get him? So when you do the specials though, like when you what do you look for uh like when you look at a comedian and you say I want to do a special with that, or I think I could do something, do you run it back to, like, you don't tell the comedian first? Do you go to 800-pound gorilla and say, guys, I have an idea with this comedian, what do you think if we do it? What do you guys think? Is that how it kind of works?
Not with 800-pound gorilla. Um, that's I'm really just uh, I'm just a shooter for them. I will bring them comedians and say, hey, take a look at this. You know, this could be a really marketable album. You know, there's a one-liner. I'm forgetting his name, which unfortunately, but I just recommend this one-liner comedian that's been hitting New York, and um, I didn't want to give away any of his jokes, but he's got a Hedgeberg pacing to it, and it's really hard to write one-liners. And he's just on a roll with him. I was like, these one-liners are a great album. So you know, I said, take a look at them, and then it's out of my hand. But as far as making the special, I'll just watch comedians. Um, and well, Barry Ribs, I watched him and I had the idea. I know what I want his special to look like. Larry Bayer is another comedian, approached me recently and said, what can we do together? And we're kind of trying to figure that out. Larry Bayer he's a master crowd. He has to master crowd work, because the whole beginning of his set is all crowd work, but it's reliant on the fact that nobody responds to what he says. Like, he has a way of just talking to people where they don't respond, and so he could do it in any crowd. And what it does is it builds. He takes his energy and he blasts into the room with his energy, and then he connects his energy to all his people, and he unites them, and he makes like this magic trick. And that's kind of where I am on the idea of that special.
So what's he do? When he talks to the crowd, he kind of at the end, does he put them all together? Like
He'll just he'll talk about this table, this person at this table, and this person at this table, and you're like this, and you're like this, and you're like, and then but we're all here together, and then by the end of it, everybody in the audience feels connected through his magic show, magic.
that is very, very hard to do. What's his name?
Larry Bayer,
Larry. Say that again.
Beyah. Hysterical Larry Bayer podcast.
I gotta look him up because I love that.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
that's
it's
that's very hard to do. But that's what I
hard to
mean.
do.
When you find somebody like that and you're like, I got an idea, um, you don't want it to be milk toast. You know what I mean?
No, no,
You
I have
want,
no interest.
yeah, you want it to be like, you want people to, well, 800-pound gorilla want to make
Yeah,
money, you know.
yeah, you want to uh like I said, when DC Benny wanted me to shoot a special because he knew I had a professional crew, instead of getting paid, I said, if I do it for free, can I shoot it the way I see it? And that really got me on the track of, all right, I want to collaborate with comedians and make exciting specials that are geared towards, again, the one person sitting at the computer watching this alone. Because that's where the comedy specials, you know, when you're in an audience, it's amazing. When you're sitting home, 2 minutes in, you're like,
Yeah,
I'm out.
yeah. They're like, people want to do like Zoom shows. I remember this one. Anyways, this wanted to do a Zoom show, and I'm going, not like, they're okay to do, but
Right.
you're not
So
getting any reaction. You're not getting
do,
anything.
do you constantly work on new magic tricks and like
Yeah.
doing magic and doing comedy together? It's got to get harder and harder, and people get less and less impressed. And
Well, especially on Zoom when it's just, you want a reaction, right? Any comic,
Oh, yeah, no,
anytime you tell a joke and you're
yeah,
not getting, it's just like you have to kind of pretend that they're laughing, and I hate that.
yeah. No, stand-up comedy needs to be performed in
Yeah,
front of a lot of people.
it's an art form that is, and it is an art form,
It's an art,
um,
form, for
that
sure.
you have to, uh, you need a crowd, and that's what I'm worried the way things are going. Like right now, where like like I told you just beforehand, I had a cruise ship just like I couldn't, they had an outbreak.
Yeah.
If I were to go down there, I would have been screwed being on that ship.
My
So
my Monday night show tonight at Stand Up New York closed.
yes, and don't you are you like I try not to go political, but do you think how do you see the New York clubs? Because they were starting to open up here, which was a glimmer of hope for me. But then all of a sudden, all the clubs they put on all these restrictions that okay, they got to close at 11 o'clock sharp. So the second show is already cut,
Yeah,
right? So once the second show's cut, they're not making, and the club can only they're only allowed 50% capacity. So if it was a club that had it
well, we're
was like
back up here. We're back. We were back up to 100% with the vaccine cards. You come in, you show your
yeah,
vaccination, you wear a mask. We're at 100%. Um, and but now it's starting to. That's where I thought we were staying. Now it's starting to get iffy, and kind of like what's going on. Uh, just they they can just shut you down at will. Like it's I'll tell you that that's one thing that I'm really proud of in quarantine. John Baramo of he's the gatekeeper of Stand Up New York. He put together an army of New York comedians, and I was one of those soldiers, and we kept the laughter going all through quarantine. We never stopped. We started, I won't talk too much about it, but we started with speakeasy comedy clubs. And yeah.
I know I
Oh yeah.
if people don't know what those are, I'll explain it to you. It's very simple. During Capone's reign of terror, where people enjoyed themselves, uh, what is what a speakeasy is, everybody. A speakeasy is it's a secret. We're gonna go to a place at night, we're gonna have fun and do a show or whatever. And that's what a speakeasy is. I'm sure he didn't do that. He's just saying hypothetically they had a speakeasy where people would go and enjoy themselves and stop thinking about this fucking miserable shit that we got to deal with. So anyways, go on.
We went from there, and then like in starting July, we started doing park shows where we just got a
Yes.
microphone,
Yeah.
went into the park, found a tree, and put on a stand-up show.
Yeah, I know.
And and we did rooftops. We did subway cars.
Yes, I
When
know.
we would put it out on social, and people would meet us up on 72nd, and we'd walk down to the subway together, commandeer the last car in the subway, and turn it into a comedy club. Like we just we did
Joel,
not stop
I
bringing
know.
the
Joel, I had to do a winery.
laughter.
And what happened was it was like all these like it was really all these people with money, right?
Yeah,
So and I told the guy, I go, listen, man, the light is the light he brought out was crap. It went out. So he couldn't see anything. So you have just a little bit of light. So there's a trick I do, and the cards are marked. I couldn't see the cards. I couldn't see what I was giving the person. Oh, it was horrible. Dude, it was horrible. I was literally shaking. I was going, I don't know if I gave her the right card because
hey,
I can't see the marked card, you know. So
how'd it turn out?
it turned out okay, but it didn't turn out nice if you when you like my kid was out there
Oh,
uh to help me with the show because you weren't allowed to have people interact, like you couldn't touch them.
right, right, yeah.
And that's kind of what I do is I bring people up, I have them lock me up or I do tricks with them or whatever. And you got to physically, it's so weird that, I mean, if you told me this 3 years ago, I would have said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You can't physically, I'm not talking about groping people. I'm talking about you can't have a
Can't do that
person,
either.
you can't have somebody on stage with you anymore. Um, and it's very it's bizarre, eh? Do you not find it bizarre?
Oh, it's very bizarre. Everything about it. We just went for the boosters, and like, I don't even. Are they safe? I don't know. I don't care. I just want to. You can't get around without them, so you go just fucking take it. Like, it's just. And then the rules. You got to walk into a restaurant wearing a mask while you're standing up. When you sit down, you can take it off. COVID operates on obviously different levels. Like if you're standing, you can get it. You're sitting, you can't. That's the restaurant science here in New York City, and and we
I
do all
forgot.
the outside cafes.
I would forget, like if you go to breakfast or something to go eat, you have to wear your mask to go to the bathroom or if you
Yeah,
need to get up. And I remember just walking and it was a crowded restaurant and I'm walking without my mask. And all of a sudden I had like 15 people going, excuse me, excuse me. And I'm like, your mask. And I was like, what? And then I realized I go, I didn't have my mask. And I was just like, you think I did that on purpose?
right.
I just needed to go to the bathroom. So you had to run to the table, put on a mask. I don't know, man. It was just very uh uh weird, you
It's
know.
weird, and I get defined. If I go in the subway, I wear my mask. But if I go out in the morning for my morning workout or morning run, I'm not wearing a mask. And you come near me, that's on you. I'll stay away from
Yeah, but
people.
it's good to get fresh air. Like,
Fresh air. Yeah, it's all the things they don't talk about. Cardio, fresh air, vitamin D, keep your immune system up. Things you can do to fight up. Don't be a fat person. That will help you fight this disease off. And
are you more handicapped now? Is 800-pound gorilla more handicapped doing how can you tape a live, like, how can you tape a show, uh, without a crowd or half a crowd or a quarter of a crowd? How do you do that?
well, that's it's kind of where we've been since we've been back. So we were really on a roll right up before COVID hit. I did Sarah Tolamachi's set at New York Comedy Club. Uh, we did her album, and I was like, "This is exciting." Joe List was there, her husband, and just go in the green room with Joe List and Sarah Tolamachi. Feels good. Um, and then COVID hit, and we shut down.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Well," and then we tried, you know, we tried finding venues out of the state. We gave up for a while, I was pushing to try to get back. And John Finch was the first one back because once we got the clubs up to 100%, he was able to fill Gotham 100% capacity. Uh, Jerry Seinfeld and George Wallace did drop-ins that night. It was pretty cool. And it felt like, okay, here's a good thing on. But then as we were starting to book other things, the comedians were starting like, wait a minute, the material I had before COVID didn't talk about COVID. And my material, if I'm going to mention COVID, that's not really like, what is my new hour? Like after this freaking year, what happened? Like the hour that I had planned, the hour the comedians had planned for their album. Now what? Like, do you open with, "Hey, well, welcome back," or do you ignore COVID? Do you try COVID jokes out on your album that don't work and cut
I
through?
don't, I told the guy not to even mention, see, we did a couple of shows um during COVID when you were allowed 50%
Right,
crowd or whatever. And this idiot comic, he goes, I got to do a COVID joke. And I go, no, you don't. They're here to not think about that.
right, yeah,
Once you do that, you're going to put it in their head and they're going to
yeah,
get all freaked out.
exactly.
So don't, but the moron he has to do his COVID joke. And I'm like, it freaks out it doesn't make people laugh or loosen them up. It tightens them up and it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
They're not there to feel uncomfortable. They're there to have a good time. So don't talk about it, because a million as soon as they walk out the door, all they need to do is turn on the news. That's all you hear. Bumping into people. A comedy show to me, Joe, is an escape,
Yeah,
right? It's an
exactly.
escape to make you laugh, even if you don't, with the world that we live in, even if you don't like the person, what they have to say, I still say go along with the ride with them. Enjoy the ride.
Right.
Don't be a jerk and just sit there and get all, I don't like this comic or whatever. Go along, have fun. That's what I tell people. If you don't like them, you don't like them. But the point of stand-up or theater or anything is it's an escape.
It's an escape.
Okay. So me sitting there or anybody going up there talking about, you know, COVID is stupid. I find it stupid because
Exactly.
they're not there to listen to that.
No. Can I tell you a funny story about a set I came up with when we started coming back? So Vinny Brand had uh I just forgot the name of his fucking the Stress Factory.
Stress
Vinny Brand
factor.
had
Yeah.
Stress Factory in New Rochelle or New Rutherford, fucking New Jersey. And his club got shut down, but he had permission to build a tent. So he built a $250,000 tent in his parking lot and put the entire club inside the tent. So he had his comedy, the Stress Factory was running at 100% capacity from the beginning through the whole thing because it was all inside this big tent.
But I don't
Uh,
get, so he was allowed to put it in a tent,
yeah, yeah.
but you're still in a closed off area.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, the science. They were like, it's a tent. It's outside. It's
A
safe.
tent, what are you, it's a tent.
You
It's
wear
a
you wear a
quarter
mask.
million dollar tent.
Yeah, with an entire comedy club inside of it. If you wore your mask in there, you were safe from COVID while you were standing, and when you sat down, you could take it off and drink.
Right.
Um, so uh, I pitched him a set, and he hired me to do it for 2 nights. And the idea behind the set was, do you remember Gene the dancing machine?
Yeah, yeah.
So I tell the story of Gene the dancing machine, and I'm doing it to like a little dance. I'm handing out these plastic balls to the whole audience, 220 people, handing out these plastic balls to everybody. And the moral of the story is Gene Patton became famous because he danced and people threw shit at him.
Yeah.
So then I so then I asked the crowd, "Are you ready to throw shit?" And I start the dancing and just looking at the crowd with the balls in their hand, just waiting like little children to throw balls at the comedian was just like a joy. When I say throw it, and they're just pelting me with balls for the next 45 seconds. And it doesn't hurt. I'm just having the best time of my life. And the people just throwing shit at me.
That's what I
And
mean. It's supposed to be a place where to have fun, escape, have
right.
fun.
And then so after that set, so we had 2 shows. Between sets, we're down in the real Stress Factory, and his manager comes down and says, "Vinny, can I talk to you?" Brings him over just far enough away where I could hear him. And she points at me and she says, "This is insanity." One of the balls broke a light. One of the balls, they had those fire things to keep it warm inside the tent.
Oh
Balls were
yeah, yeah.
hitting the fire things. Like this is, we can't have this. And then he says, "Joe, come here." He's like, and I was like, "Yeah, I heard." And so they didn't let me do it the second time. But I was like, you know what? Having a set so fun and so dangerous that it was deemed, you know, that I got thrown out of the club for it. I was like, success.
What you should have did next time, if next time you do that, if you're
Yeah.
allowed to do that show, you could buy those fake uh they're made out of foam, but they look like bricks,
Oh yeah.
and have everybody give bricks, and then they throw bricks at you, but they're foam, they can't hurt you. But
Yeah.
people really whip them or whatever. Uh uh
Bricks is a funny idea. They
yeah.
used to throw anything at Gene the dance machine, big bowling pins.
Oh, the good old days. How'd your set go? I don't know. I'm in a concussion right now. I have no idea. All right. Well, so what's next on uh what do you got planned? What's next? Like what's the next step? Like what do you I know it's hard with everything that's going on, but what is the plan for the next for you in the
The plan
company?
for me is to continue my work with 800 pound. I'm spacing. We have 3 album tapings lined up in January. I would love to remember the names, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to go. But I can post it or something. I have the Barry Ribs special that's supposed to shoot at the end of January. Uh, Larry Baker's special, which is a conversation, may never happen, but I think we might be onto something. And in quarantine, um, my oldest son and I, I found a new way into a story, a script that I've written 20 years ago, and really breathed new life into it. And it's basically a 15-hour movie told in 30 half-hour episodes, act one, act two, act three. And we have a production company interested in that project, and some good names attached to it. Chaz Palminteri, I don't want to throw names out there, but it's out there in the universe. And it's called Joey O. It's a mobster musical monster rom-com. And that's if if all goes my way, I'll be shooting that by August.
Good.
And always, for no reason and for very little money, I'll be going on stage and seeing what magic I can conjure up with stand up.
That's awesome. That's very good. Well, I
So,
appreciate your time, man.
oh man, I'm so excited to see your stuff. I want to come down to New York. I want to hit the clubs with you.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
the
go.
best.
We'll walk around and um, we'll find Barry outside uh, arguing with a dead pigeon or something, and just tell
with
him,
his with his little rolling case
yeah,
because he
like
brings his
we,
luggage wherever he
yeah,
goes.
yeah, it's time to rock and roll. And he's like, all right, okay, no problem. He's no, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. But you got a great. I could see why 800-pound gorilla hired you because you got a wonderful personality and you're a very positive person. So that is something that I think uh, is lacking, and I think that is in the world. Um, and I that's why you're doing what you're doing, and you're trying your best to, of course, you want to make a little bread for yourself, but you're doing something that is creative. And at the end of the day, you could sit back and look at something that you produced and laugh and enjoy.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that to me is the magic of stand up or any type of entertainment. uh that's what draws me to ask to watch, to you want to be a part of. You
right.
know what I mean?
Want to be a part of.
Yeah, you do. You really do. You crave it because reality sucks. So uh
This
you
is our
know,
own metaverse.
yeah, you're making your own little play. And hopefully, I always tell people this, if it's always a rough crowd, I always say, hey, if you guys want to come along for a ride and have fun, we'll have fun. If you don't want to, there's the door. Good luck. But if you want to have fun, let's have fun. And most of the time, 99% of them want to have fun, and that's something that you're doing. That's uh, uh, that's a good thing, especially uh, that's what people need more than anything, Joe. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get to be paid to watch top level pros do it, and and just it's my job, um, and but then you get to watch and you go like, ah, so it's a never ending learning process, and a journey that I'm on and excited to keep going on and keep going forward and meeting more comedians and meeting meeting you, this is it's all wonderful.
Well, we'll do another interview once you're done with the special, once things,
When Barry's special comes out.
yeah, no, I don't want to talk about berries. That's gonna be depressing. Talk about, well, no, I'm kidding. When we'll do another one for sure, okay? And
Yeah.
then we'll talk about other things about stand up that I think we'll enjoy the conversation. Um, but I thank you for your time, Joe. It's
Thank you
very
so
cool.
much for talking.
Folks, listen, 800-pound gorilla puts out some killer comedy albums. Check them out. uh I'm going to put up a link to their website, and then you could hit their link. You could see all the comedians that they have some wonderful comedians. And have yourself, I know Christmas is over. I want everybody to have a happy new year, and hopefully the new year is brighter for everybody. Okay, so be good, be safe, like, subscribe, hate, I don't care. All right. Thank you, Joe. I'll talk to you
Thank you,
later.
Vito.
Ciao.
Ciao, man.